It's interesting to me, and whenever I hear Pat Riley's name, or I see him, I always think of Bob Ryan sitting at Paul Westfall's pool, sharing libations, as the great Sean McDonough would say, drinking beers with Pat Riley and the rest of the Suns in 1976. I grew up hating the Lakers, Bob. I have immense respect for Pat Riley. And I know he's not perfect. I know he's got a big ego, but I go, man, what that guy has done with multiple organizations really is something else. And he's getting a statue in Los Angeles, and it's about damn time. And quite frankly, I think he's a forgotten man when it comes to the Lakers, and I don't think it's fair.
Well, it goes way back. I mean, into the 80s, and so I can understand that. But his contribution to that for that team at the time that he took over, and he went from not being in basketball. He's a carpenter off in the off season at one point to sitting next to Chick Hearn
Right.
to then getting the job and presiding over Showtime and bringing a whole spirit and attitude and wisdom to the job. Absolutely. And the most amazing thing about him, though, to me, is the total reinvention of his style from the Showtime to the thug ball in New York. And I still maintain, I did once ask him, and he didn't want to go all the way there, but I'm sorry. That one play changed his entire life. And that was Kevin McHale taking down Kurt Rambis. Yeah. And Celtics going from that point on to win that series by out physicaling, if that's the verb, but out muscling, pushing around the Lakers. And I'm sure Riley vowed it ain't ever going to happen again under my watch for anywhere. And it hadn't. It never did. And of course, in New York, it went to the point where they were the extreme aggressors. And but anyway, he reinvented himself, and not a lot of guys can do that. And any coaching in any sport the way he did, and he did. And but he's an interesting guy. He's a son. His background, in Albany, he's the son of a minor league manager. His father was a baseball lifer, and he was a overachieving 6'2" tweener who jumped center for Rupp at Kentucky, by the way, and had the journeyman career in the NBA and got a ring with the 71, 72. Anyway, no, but I'm rambling. He's a very interesting guy, and then to go to become the executive he did in Miami. I mean, he's one of the most intriguing figures in the whole history of the National Basketball Association. Yes, absolutely. So, and he does deserve to be commemorated in LA.
Yeah, I mean, I just think so many kids these days have no idea what Pat Riley was as a coach. Like, they just think about him building the Miami Heat, right? Like, my nephews, like, they don't know who Pat Riley was, the coach. And, I still kind of think back to, like, if this guy had continued to coach, which I don't know why did he decide to be an executive instead of, because he was like in his early 60s, I think, when he did that, right?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what that was all about necessarily. No, I don't. But but
he was such a good coach. Like, people, again, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, the younger generation has no idea what this guy did as a coach. They think of him as, which he's done an incredible job of, right, building the culture in that Miami Heat organization to whereas it lasts no matter who's there, right? No matter what the name of the players are. And they've done an incredible job of developing players as well.
Well, I mean, who thought Spoelstra? I mean, was anybody championing Spoelstra? To me, look, he had great players in LA. We all know what he did. But to me, his greatest achievement was Eric Spoelstra's the guy, and we all went, huh?
No, he identified, no question. He identified that young man at the time, and Spoelstra, who's now, he can start preparing the speech someday in Springfield. He's going to the Hall of Fame, and Riley identified that. He gets full credit for that. There's no question. When I think back to Riley and the fun we had with him, and his way of phrasing things back in the, and when he was in his glory in LA, and helped us look at the game a little differently. And he talked about hidden agendas. Remember that? That's his. And he talked about the disease of me, that you can't have the disease of me. My firm, he talked about how games are decided and these little outbursts, of flurries, which he called skirmishes. Now that conjures up little battles in the Revolutionary War to my head. Skirmish, had a skirmish in Lexington. But he was creative in that regard. In that way, it's a wonderful copy. Good, it was. Of course, we all rhapsodized, those of us who were around, about how great the '80s were. Just another example of how great the '80s were. We had Pat Riley to deal with.
There's nothing like seeing a game live. I mean, watching it on TV is great. We have all the technology, we have our phones, we have access to everything. But being there in person is definitely the way to go. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? It's game time.